Welcome to the Growth Minded Accountant podcast, where our experts will share best practices on running your firm in the digital age. This podcast is brought to you by CountingWorks Pro. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome back to the Growth Minded Accountant podcast. I am your host, Lee Reams II, CEO of CountingWorks and our sister company, TaxBuzz.com, where we help tax and accounting firms scale smarter without burning out. And today's topic is to build a firm that runs without you. That's a little aspirational, I know. You're like, it's impossible. But the reality is, most growing firms, and I'm going to say maybe, once you get up to around $1 million in revenue, you may not have all the processes. In some respects, you become the bottleneck, okay? So what we're going to talk about today is what are ways that you can use technology, automation, specifically AI and personalization to hopefully replace you as that bottleneck, that decision maker, and set things up to actually run on their own. So there's going to be 6 different replacements of yourself that we're going to recommend. We are talking about, this isn't things that's pie in the sky, meaning topics that we talk about today, technology stacks, whether it's CountingWorks Pro or other technology stacks, can do many of the elements that we're talking about today. We are also, on our roadmap, we have all kinds of really fun stuff that's going to make it even easier for you. And the reality is, there's going to be times when I honestly think you're going to be able to work, if you used to work 12 hours a day during season, 8 hours, 6 hours, you're going to be able to do so much more and let the technology do the rest, that you're going to be able to save. And it's kind of like this thing where you save 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 20 minutes there. So those are the things we're going to talk about today. I am, as usual, joined by Rebekah Barton, our Chief Visibility Officer. Rebekah, you can say hello.
Hey, everybody. This is a fun one. I'm excited to dive into it.
And when we say you're going to build a firm that runs without you, we're not talking about ghosting your clients, right? So not being responsive. The number one-star review reason is my accountant is not responsive to me. And here's just give a real quick, example of an automation tool is in your client portal, like ours is a ClientHub. Have an autoresponder that automatically goes out when someone uploads something that just either sets the tone, sets, hey, I got this. This is when we respond. This is the standard stuff. You're already now using things, one, going back and forth, clients then messaging you while you're working on something, but you're setting the expectations. And that is a way that takes you out of being the bottleneck for you to physically say, hey, I got this. I'll work on this. And that's allowing you to let technology do that, okay? So I think it's a big deal. You want freedom away from your job. You want to be putting your time into the advisory, the things that move the needle for your clients. And that's what we're going to talk about. So what can you start using technology to do to take you out of the loop? So whether that be answering client questions, tax research, making it a thing that's in minutes versus hours, right? Setting up proposals, engagement letters, intake forms that can help save you time, right? How you onboard clients, perhaps how you market them, and even deliver your advisory services with tax plans, analyzing tax returns, things like that. So what we're going to talk about today is 6 different key replacements. And we're going to start with step 1, which is going to be replace yourself in client communication. You're going to like, well, no way am I replacing myself in client communication. Well, I'll tell you what. There's a lot of ways to do that. And Rebekah, I would say this is maybe an 8-hour, 10-hour a week save. What can I do? I can either not work as much, or I can free up billable hours to do things. My clients are going to be more satisfied. It's going to reduce burnout. So what do we talk about when we're saying replace yourself in client communication? This is a broad deal. We can talk about what I just said with the autoresponders, perhaps setting up a lot of different AI tools within your client relationship management, your CRM, to make it really easy. You have to realize, though, as a tax and accounting pro, out-of-the-box generic bots don't necessarily know the tax code. So be very careful, but kind of start explaining how we can utilize technology on the client communication side.
So like you said, there are a lot of ways to do this, Lee. This is kind of myriad because clients communicate in a lot of different ways, right? So one way would even be having a chatbot on your website. Like we provide our clients with an AI smart bot. It can answer questions after hours. It can answer questions on the weekend. It can answer questions just that you don't want to answer because 50 people a day send you the same question. And so the chatbot can really free you up by answering some of these basic FAQs. It can then, if the client asks too many detailed questions or is using too much of its time or something like that, you can set it to force the person to input their information. You can reach out. But that's a huge time savings right there, just taking advantage of a chatbot on your website. Another thing you can do is use the AI to actually help you answer very specific questions. So you can literally copy paste an email into our AI system, for example, which is fully secure, and say, hey, can you help me craft a response to this client? It's going to do the research. It's going to help you create that answer in seconds compared to you perhaps spending 20 or 30 minutes looking up all of the answers, figuring out what to say. So this is a really good way, like you said, Lee, to save a lot of hours. It's not necessarily that you're always letting the AI system auto respond. I have a lot of clients I talk to who are very concerned about sounding impersonal by using AI, and that's not what's going to happen. You are going to train the AI on your voice, on the way you interact with your clients, and it's going to help you respond to your clients in a faster, more efficient, but still very accurate and personable way.
Yeah, and the best example for that is, you're busy, you get messages from clients and they start backing up, right? So this is where the lack of responsiveness starts jumping in. If you're using an AI tool to assist you in responding to these, like in our ClientHub, you don't even have to copy and paste. You can just basically say, I want to respond to this inbound message. It's going to do the research. It's going to see the intent of that question. You can, as a human in loop now, can personalize it. If you have your memories loaded in any good AI tool, you're going to be able to personalize everything. The tone. I like answering in narrative style. I like telling stories. Those are ways that you can personalize it. And quite frankly, it sounds exactly like you because it is you. It's an AI version of you, and it allows you to do multiple things. A 30 questions backed up, you don't have to back up anymore. You can roll through those in 5 minutes each versus the old days of, I got an hour to look at this. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. So the client communication is kind of like a low-hanging fruit, pretty obvious to me. Crafting emails, right? I mean, come on, it's so easy to do. But let's get into some areas that perhaps you haven't done, and that's scheduling and kind of gatekeeping your time. So what happens today? Maybe you use just an inbound calendar, you just schedule an appointment, you got a call. That means a human labor component sitting there, right? You're only available during office hours. You're not working 24/7. Everyone perhaps is not on your website during 8 to 5. They might be, looking on your website over the weekend. And then what are the ways that they can reach out to you? How can they book you? How can they pay you? Right? So think about it. You have a bunch of issues. Also with technology, if you have many staff members, do you guys overbook? Do you see your visibility to your calendars, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can use automation and technology to do this gatekeeping for you, to do this scheduling. And let's talk about it. So everyone thinks, well, if I put my calendar online, that means I'm only giving away free advice. Well, free should only be the sales call, okay? That's what we call discovery calls. You can argue all day long if you want to do free discovery calls, that's up to you. But it's the best way to qualify an inbound lead. If you did your proper narrative, if you were positioning yourself in the proper way, meaning I only work with high income individuals in this particular space, you're automatically going to gatekeep a lot of this, okay? So that is the first step. And that's the way, like Rebekah, this is a little off topic, but kind of explain how we work with clients to get them to get that position statement so they don't have the whole world coming to them and work they don't even want to do. You want to be able to thin that out basically from your messaging and your website.
So we spend a lot of time talking about branding, talking about who you want to be, talking about your target demographic, segmentation, all the things we talk about on the podcast frequently. And I think one of the things when the light bulb kind of goes off for people a lot of the time is when we start talking about the calendar. You're not going to waste your time talking to people who are clearly not a good fit for you anymore if you're stating clearly up front who you work with. So I think that's kind of a great segue into this, because clearly defining who your target audience is on your website is going to help make sure that everybody who's using your calendar to book with you already knows if they are going to be a fit, or at least they have a pretty good idea of if they're going to be a fit for you. So like I said, we just spent a lot of time talking about, hey, what are your goals for your business? Who do you enjoy working with? If you don't already have a niche audience, let's think through who you really enjoy working with right now, or who your dream clients are. And then let's start writing copy, creating a story that's going to attract those people.
And I'll give you an example here of how to use your online calendar with a proposal, for example. So let's say right now, mid-year tax planning is something. Tax season just ended. I have a certain amount of clients who they've filed their returns. X percentage of them probably should be on some sort of either at least one time, let's say a mid-year tax planning, perhaps a quarterly, maybe a monthly, who knows, depending on their needs. But let's just talk about upselling a mid-year tax plan. You go into your database and let's say 300 clients have already filed it. They're a 1040 client. I'm going to send out a campaign with a proposal attached to this that's going to detail my mid-year tax planning appointment. It's going to say what it entails. It's going to say what it costs. Client A, let's say out of the 300, 10%, 30 say, hey, I'll spend $1,250 and do this. So 30 times $1,250, you can do the math. They click pay now. They then have purchased this appointment. How do you get them on the calendar? In CountingWorks Pro, we just do workflows. So we do automated triggers. So if action A is done, then action B. So that example is you send out a proposal. I will add some complexity. Maybe after that proposal, you have a basic intake form that kind of pre-gathers information about the client. So when you're ready to interview them, you can save even more time by having some of that data done. So proposal signed, payment made, intake form sent out. And then at the same time, it automatically kicks out your welcome to your mid-year tax planning appointment. Here's my calendar. And then you have a calendar specific for this service only. So you can say this includes 1 hour and let's say 90 minutes. So that's what that appointment is. So they're now they're selecting on your open calendar when to meet with you, right? So now you have automation here, automation there, automation here. What used to be labor costs now are freeing up your time. And you can systemize almost anything, any service you offer through triggers, through sequences, through what I'm going to call workflows, really free up your time. So, I don't know, what the ROI on each client is, but, if you're saving, well, if you're able to automate an upsell campaign, we call them playbooks. So if you pick a playbook and I'm doing an upsell playbook and it automatically runs, if you've segmented your clients, it actually can automatically run. And it just keeps triggering off based on what that workflow looks like. So I think it's a big deal. You get your time back and you start monetizing your access. So when you come in your calendar, I got 1250 3 days today. I mean, 3 hours. What am I saying? 3 days. I have 3 appointments today for the 1250. I got carried away. I'm not selling your whole day. But now, think about that day. I just did 3 times 1250. I mean, that's a pretty lucrative business, right? I kind of like that business, right? And it also starts eliminating those quick calls that derail your day. You're actually properly monetizing your time, right? And it also, if you start doing where you have a proposal or a pay before you meet, that filters out the non-serious prospects. So that whole concern for you kind of goes away. So protect your calendar. Free equals sales. And I'm a big into discovery calls. Again, if you've done your narrative correctly, you should be getting more. They should pre-qualify themselves. People that can't afford a Mercedes don't go to a Mercedes dealership, right? Their branding is already communicated. We're a pristine, high-end product. Usually you have people that can afford or aspire to that. You want that same thing. We've talked about this a little bit where we're going to replace ourselves in even putting together the proposals, the invoices, my engagement letters. intake forms, to-do lists. And what does that mean? If you're in any way, or even you have staff doing this, chasing e-sign doc, I mean, everything should be digitized, right? Everything should be in your tech stack. It's the job for software, not a firm owner. So if you're in any way responsible for doing every single proposal that goes out from your firm, I think that's a bottleneck, right? That delays your income. It delays, part of your day from being more billable or chargeable or providing value. I think also what you see without a process is very inconsistent pricing. So let's talk, Rebekah, let's just talk about how I would use AI to customize or create a proposal specific for a client based on what their needs are, where they're located, and even how AI, for a tool like ours, AI could actually create an invoice that perhaps client A is in a more lucrative area. They're used to paying more, or maybe certain job titles demand a higher price. How can AI create on demand in seconds custom proposals and even custom pricing schemes for you? And or it could just use your memories because you say, this is how I price, but kind of explain how that works.
Right. So it all comes down to prompting. I am a huge proponent of learning how to prompt well, creating good prompts, really talking to your AI like it is your assistant to help it understand who you are, what you need, and the outputs you're looking for. So in this particular case, for example, you could tell your AI system, hey, look, I am trying to create proposals for 3 different clients. Here's client one's stats, here's what they do, here's their job title, here's where they live. Client 2, same information. Client 3, same information. Can you please craft templated proposals that are going to be branded and be similar, but craft the pricing based on the average rate in their area or your own preferred pricing, depending on what's in your memories? And can you also, create customized solutions for the packages I'm going to be offering them based on these, components that I've already entered for you. So it really all comes down to prompting it. And then it's going to spit out 3 individual proposals that are still templated, look like your brand, sound like your brand. They're not going to look like weird random one-offs that you created, completely different things for different people, but they are going to be personalized while still being professional and while taking all of your memories, all of your pricing, any critical information about your firm into account.
Yeah, and what we mean by memories, just to define it a little bit, it's basically we preload your pricing scheme, right? So scope-based pricing, perhaps you have set standards. You can even use AI to create that. And let's say a tax prep client who's dual income, high income, this is what we usually charge versus a tax planning subscription. Maybe we have 3 tiers versus a virtual CFO. So if you load this information in what we call memories, think of modern thing like a preferences. It's how AI uses that context when they personalize this proposal or personalize this engagement letter. So you're not set up where you're back in the old days of everything being a template. The AI already knows what a at least for Max and our tool, what a proposal looks like, what legal information you want in there, what an engagement letter looks like, right? So that's already kind of pre-learned, so you don't have to really stress about that. I think the beauty of these things is, again, figuring out how to trigger episode 1, send that proposal, to then do the trigger to the engagement letter without humans doing anything. It's already created the personalized deal. It's sending out the e-sign. Once that e-sign's received, sending out that intake. Once that's received, let's say create a to-do list, both for the client and internally, maybe create a Kanban board. These are ways that now you can save a ton of money. And more importantly, you don't undercharge. So you're stressed out, you're trying to, there's a backlog of proposals, or you're not sure what to charge. AI kind of knows a lot of the market rates already. So it's a really powerful tool for you. I think you don't lose leads either by lag time or delays, right? People waiting and then they decide to shop further. Maybe that's their first indicator is like, oh boy, I don't want to work with them. More importantly, if I'm now being able to kick these out, I'm getting prepaid for most of these, right? So faster time to revenue. I think more consistent scope as well. which I think will end up being higher margin per client. So I think this is really important. That would be step 3. Rebekah, anything you want to add? You look like you wanted to say something.
I do. I have a
and
thought.
I didn't want to I'm like, okay, what is she saying?
No, I have a thought. I also think just from talking to clients working with our people that this particular step, even if it doesn't save you the most time a week, it's going to save you the most tedium. This is where I hear people really complain. I don't want to do the little things. The little things are hard. They're frustrating. Chasing people down for documents, chasing people down for e-sign. All of that can be very time consuming. And very tedious and really lead to burnout in a way that a lot of these other things that we're talking about don't. So I think this is a particularly important area to automate for morale in your office and for your own personal just lack of burnout and enjoyment of what you do.
Yeah, and where we're going with the CounterWorks Pro platform is letting the AI do a lot of this. And then what we're calling them playbooks. Rebekah's saying, I'll train you how to write a prompt. We've realized most of our clients, I don't want to write a prompt. I don't want to learn how to do it. You know what? We got the messaging. We're making them into playbooks. We know how to write prompts. We know how to create workflows. We know how to do the triggers. We're just create a playbook. You pick it, select a client, and it runs. That is what automation is all about, and getting you again out of the bottleneck. And then the amount of time you're saving is substantial, and it really adds up. So let's go into step 4, which is Rebekah's favorite. She's been waiting the whole podcast for this. Replace yourself in content and marketing. We'll go ahead and gloat because of what CounterWorks Pro is already doing. Our automated personalized social posting launches tomorrow, so you can talk about that. But let's just go from, if you're a brand new client of ours, let's go from start to finish, creating your narrative, customizing it, then getting a flow of custom blog content. And then for now, a segmented newsletter. And then, boy, now we're able to amplify that through social media, but kind of explain how technology can do that in a super high trustful way.
So technology has allowed us to do what I've wanted to do since I started here, 3 years ago, about 3 years ago. We've always wanted to be able to, at scale, create really, really custom websites for you guys. And that's what we're now able to do with technology. So with our narrative storytelling onboard, you're going to come through. We have a whole process. I'm going to really get to know your firm. I'm going to tell your story. I'm going to make sure that you don't look like any other tax and accounting firm online, because you're not like any other tax and accounting firm. Even if you don't know it, there are things about you that are completely unique that nobody else is offering. And during our onboarding process, that's what we kind of get down to the heart of, to find out what makes you tick, what you're passionate about, and what your firm is going to change for the people who choose you, the outcomes that you're going to provide. From there, like Lee said, we create customized content for you using an awesome new system. If you've talked to me recently, you've probably heard me say, I'm not just saying this because I work here. I really love this feature. I think it's one of the coolest things I've seen, just as an SEO nerd and someone who enjoys digital marketing and SEO stuff in my personal life as well. So what happens is that any blog that we post, our syndicated blogs, are becoming not syndicated blogs, and they're getting customized for your firm based on the memories that we put into the system for you. We're here to help you with that. My colleague Patrick and I will walk you through exactly how to do this. We even have some pre-written prompts that I've come up with to help you get some really great outputs. All you have to do is literally insert a couple of pieces of variable data. Once those memories are in, our system's going to run with it. All of these articles are going to be accurate. They're going to be vetted by us. All of the factual information remains the same, but you're going to get high quality custom content literally by flipping a switch. You toggle a button and it's all going to run for you. You're not having to write these articles or publish them yourself or anything like that. And the same thing is going to apply to our new social posts, which are starting, like Lee said, this week. So it's really, really exciting. And then with the playbooks, you're able to very easily segment your audience. You can do custom newsletters for different segments if you're wanting to target dentists or real estate investors or other, high income clients who are really good niches for tax and accounting professionals. We're making it super easy. Literally, you just have to toggle some buttons and everything's going to run for you. You're going to be reaching these people with content that actually resonates with them and content that's valuable to them.
you sound like a salesperson. So I want to make this educational. That was a sales pitch a little bit. But the reality is, and I'm talking from what we're doing, but there's other variations of it. But the whole idea here is that with the proper tech stack, you're going to be able to do a few things. One, we found that tax and accounting firms are really, really bad at segmenting their client base. We're using tools now that can do that automatically for you. It can even find like a go-to-market strategy. Let's find people that are in this particular vertical. And now let's start marketing and communicating. How then does automation work? Well, we can set up playbooks that say, every third week, we're posting an article for that particular topic. Let's say that's HOA, treasurers for smaller HOAs that, there are more volunteers and they get into it and they're like, oh my God, what did I get into? Well, we can create a playbook that segments that audience and creates custom content that goes out to them automatically, okay, speaks to their pain points, gives them a pathway to educate them on how to do certain things, but also at the same time, throw in a call to action if you are the best firm to answer that, pain point for them, right? To be that resource for them. So there's a lot of things here. And then, what does it normally happen? So this is what we see. We see people that DIY their website. They start a blog. They write 4 blog articles. Maybe they make it to month 2. And then all of a sudden, the last published date is, 2019. And I see this over and over again. It's like, well, inconsistent posting is a huge deal, okay? It hurts you both from a ranking standpoint. You're losing business because you're not getting ranked. With AI search now, that's another thing. So you need that fresh content. You need that authoritative content. You need that niche focused content. And automation tech stacks can now do that. So from segmenting your client, delivering content specific to their needs, and then doing it consistently. Okay, that is how you create systems, not something that just stagnates when I'm waiting for a client referral. No, if you have a system in place, you're going to have a waiting list of clients, and more leads coming in over time. And what's great about it is these are things that build upon themselves. I'm going to give you another reason why you want to do a lot of this educational material and be a thought leader to your current client base. And this could be even just through your current client newsletter. Is no client education. Guess what that means? More questions, or they're using ChatGPT to get their answers to their questions. And I don't think that's what your goal is. So it is more important than ever in the AI age to have a really tight client relationship, be more personalized than ever. And it's kind of like, wait a second, AI and automation doesn't sound personalized, but that's the opposite is true. You're able now to really pinpoint that information for each client, what they care about. So you're not sending, a dual income high person, who's making $600,000 a year, tips on their Uber driving. Okay. So what does that do? How much time does that save? So if you're now able to take yourself out of the bottleneck of authoring blog articles, brainstorming blog articles, finding pictures, publishing them, then doing all the social posts around that. I mean, it's incredible amount of time. Let's say, 10, 20 hours a month, probably. What does this do? It keeps clients warm. You're in touch with them on an ongoing basis. That means what? More referrals. It builds an inbound pipeline without an ad spend. You could do this all organically, meaning your content is just shared. There's a network effect to it. And it positions your firm, more importantly, as the go-to advisor. So I think this is really important. Automation absolutely wins now. Personalized automation wins. The generic template cookie cutter stuff that's out there, you got to walk away from it. So if your website is, or your marketing material is kind of built on some old stacks, 100% I would look for something new. So step 5, replace yourself in the client workflow side. And what do I mean by this? And there's certain tools that are doing this. Some of them are doing it with like labor in India and creating binders and organizing your client uploads. But the reality is there's a lot of tools now like ours that can scrape the client uploads. It can organize them by type. It can add them all up. It can detail them. It can create kind of a binder tool to summarize and sort all your client docs. It can then get proactive and say, hey, this looks like if these are here, maybe, we're missing some things, right? It can look at past tax returns and do some proactive recommendations. It can auto create tasks based on the stage where they are in the client organization side. This is a huge bottleneck area for most accounting firms. They lose track, who's doing what, and both from your point of view and the client's point of view, right? So do I have missing information? Is the accountant working on this? Are they waiting on me? Those are kind of things that I think technology and tech stacks, whether it be CountingWorks Pro or other tech stacks that are out there, this is 100%. It gets rid of the incomplete upload issues, confused clients, bottlenecks in staff workflow. Your clients are going to love you if you can organize this. So what are some of those tools? Smart intake forms, conditional logic, again, the binder tools to summarize and sort client docs. And it's pretty accurate at this point. Yes, can some documents come up that someone took a really fuzzy picture and the AI doesn't find or scrape the data correctly? Yeah, that can happen. But what are the real benefits? Obviously, time per client, specifically during tax season. But I think more important, your clients feel more organized and you're taking that like, oh, this is such a horrible experience. And we're talking tax clients now. It could be on monthly bookkeeping. There's, virtual CFO services. There's a lot of different ways. But I think what you want is your staff to spend less time chasing info. And more importantly, and we've done this, Rebekah, in certain processes internally, we took things that, like our competition takes 30 days to build a website. We truncated that down to days. And the reason we did is we learned, like everyone else, we're doing the same thing, back and forth, chasing back and forth. And you add up all that time, if we had just gone all full bore in the beginning and just, knocked it out of the park, we can get things done really, really quickly. And we lose that extra 40% of wasted time. So you could do that as well with your current clients. Which brings me into the last step, which is replace yourself in advisory and strategic work. Did he really just say that? There are tools out there, whether that be the Corby product, there are other Indeed product, obviously Max and our tools. There's Tax IQ. I can go on and on. There's a bunch of different tools. But you 100% can trust, at least our tool. I don't want to speak for them. Let's back up. I don't want to speak for them, but you can trust these tools to do a lot of proactive tax planning, to be able to run through documents and analyze them, whether it be a tax return, whether it be an income statement, a balance sheet, and come out with proactive advice and action items that you now can deliver to clients in a beautiful client report. Okay. And it can also help you brainstorm. You can look at this documents and ask AI, hey, this client is a restaurant based in San Diego. They're a brewery. This is what their cash flow looks like. These are the issues and concerns they have with supply chains and labor and whatever. What are the proactive things that I can encourage them to do to improve, to make their lives better? AI is able to do that. You can do it. It would take you hours and hours and hours in the old days. So 100%. You can get advisory and strategic work done with a tech stack, okay? And what does this do? It makes it so it's now a scalable product. Tax planning used to be a cumbersome product, okay? Or service, let's call it a service. But now I can package it, I can make it transparent to my clients, and now I can deliver it. And more importantly, the value you deliver is consistent. I have a process in place. These are the tools that I use. And in the old days, I only had so many hours in the day. But if I can get AI to take what I know already and run with it and amplify it and come up with things that I didn't do before, it solves that problem with limited bandwidth for strategic thinking. It enables me, if you've done the other 5 steps we talked about, this frees you up now to use tech, AI specifically, to do things you can never do. And what does that mean? You can prioritize advisory services now, check-ins, reports, quarterly stuff. You can have AI draft insights from your client data, right? You can start creating client dashboards, add additional services. So I think this is one of the biggest ways to make money and monetize it. So Rebekah, we've been talking now how the technology can assist, human in the loop, advisory services. But if it's not properly packaged, if it's not properly sold through a narrative or through a process, whether that be your content, your social posts, your emails to clients, like how can I effectively target and now upsell these services, even to my existing client base? I mean, we've seen it now all the time in our own subscriber base. The fastest ROI is I don't need a new clients. I just need to get more from my current clients. Why is it so important to develop this narrative so that that value, those pain points, people want to now, make that move versus just kind of sit idly by and just saying, well, this is status quo?
In some ways, your content is even more important for your existing client base, right? Because they already trust you. So if you can show them through content, through whatever it is you're doing, through emails, through customized newsletters, that you are able to now provide them with more value than you could before by solving whatever pain point it may be. We've talked a lot, Lee, about generational marketing, which I think is a good example here when it comes to advisory services. If you're marketing to people, for example, whose kids are about to go off to college, they have dual issues, right? They're wanting to not only start planning for how they're going to enjoy their empty nest, maybe enjoy their retirement, maybe travel, buy a second home, all of these things, but how are they going to pay for college, help their kids get on their feet, these types of things. That is a pain point that you could really address through content. And you could show these people who are your existing clients, hey, look, if you upgrade to these advisory services, you are going to suddenly take advantage of all of this knowledge that I have that you're not currently taking advantage of. That's a really, really easy way to upsell your current clients by showing them that you can address a pain point you've never really addressed before in your content. Same thing goes for business owners, right? If you target more of business owners, you could show them that you can address a pain point. Maybe it's e-commerce and how you can help them with nexus taxes across state lines, things like that. There's a lot of issues that people are facing that maybe you haven't specifically addressed. Using automation is a great way to start creating content that's going to show them the additional value you can now provide because you're offering these advisory or virtual CFO services. And one thing I wanted to point out is that a lot of my clients come to me very concerned that using AI is going to make them less personable. I would argue and will argue that it actually makes you more personable and allows you to provide even more targeted and personalized services than you were before. So I like people to just put that fear aside because that's not something that's going to happen. It is still you delivering these services to your clients. Now you're just providing them with even more value than you were able to before because you freed up all of these hours in a week that allow you to really come up with these beautifully packaged subscriptions or plans or documents.
Yeah, no, I can't agree more about the personalization. And that's what the beauty, again, is to be able to look at all this data, take that data and personalize in the messaging, the reports, the recommendations to each client. So I think it's a huge deal. So there's my 6. If you take each one, we can argue how many hours you're saving. But the idea here is that building a firm that runs without you isn't about disappearing, right? It's about designing processes that don't crumble when you step away. I actually wrote one of our articles for this month's newsletter that we spin for all our clients. Is the idea is, what happens if something happens to you, to your firm? Is your business protected? Are there processes in place that your business runs weeks without you, right? And if not, that is where you're the bottleneck. You're the one that's stopping you from growing. So start small, pick one area, maybe pick step 2 or step 1, and just, deal with the client communication, deal with the scheduling, deal with the onboarding, and then implement a system, a platform, use technology. And once you've mastered that, okay, move on to the next one. You're going to get more and more comfortable as you go. And I think that's really important. So I think Rebekah went the sales, she like put her sales hat on today. We did go a little bit into ClientHub Pro, but a lot of the things we're talking about today are things that we already do for clients or are on our roadmap, and we're rolling out every 2 weeks. We got another incredible feature. Our goal is really to set up your firm to run as easily as possible. Technology can do all this. It's time to stop doing the same way every year. Last year, I like the way I do things. Things are changing. I don't want to get into fear marketing or communication, but the reality is there is a better way. You just got to see the light. So hopefully we're communicating that. If you have any questions whatsoever, you want to talk to us about how ClientHub Pro can assist your firm. We have a couple different options for you. We're starting to do what I'll call like sales type of discussions, but also get you right in front of the product team. No sales pitch, we'll help you with the narrative. We'll consult with you. We're starting to do that, and there's ways that you can schedule appointments on our website for that. So definitely something that I think is really beneficial and kind of a giveaway from our service. So hopefully this has been insightful. A little salesy, you can blame Rebekah, but I think it was really good in the fact that we touched on a bunch of different ways that automation can really do a lot of the things that you're doing today that I consider tedious and not as productive as you want to do. So again, thank you for joining us on the Growth Minded Accountant podcast. We look forward to seeing you every week. We'll continue pushing out some good content and great features in our platform. Good luck, and have a almost summer. School graduations happening right now, so enjoy all of those ceremonies, sit in the sun, boiling, but hopefully we'll see you guys here again soon. Thank you.